Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chair Shot Wrestling Podcast. We are here from Moonlight Studios, Leon C. My name is Steve O'Mac, and I'm here with Dino the Truth.
What's crack-lacking, Steve O'Mac?
Right, all things are good tonight because, as you can probably see, I'm just going to get this in the picture here, right? We are celebrating Champions 2026. It's been 22 long years, right? I am in good mood tonight, right? We're doing a late podcast because you're going away to Ireland, so we've got to get this filmed, okay? And I'm gonna be,
so if you look a bit tired, I'm sorry, guys.
I look a bit tired, but I'm also buzzing from the fact that Arsenal have just won the league. So bear with me. I might, I might go off on a tangent.
I mean, as a West Ham
I've had a lot of coffee.
As a West Ham fan, I've got a different end of the spectrum. I'm just hoping we can do the business on the weekend, and Everton can do the business, and we can still stay up. So it's a very different end of the spectrum. But fair play to you, I'm happy for Arsenal, because I always haven't really got a problem with Arsenal like I have, as long as it's not Tottenham or Liverpool, they're the worst, don't they? Let's be honest. Sorry, don't want to scare off any potential viewers though, but
come on, you Irons on Sunday, So anyway, enough about football.
It's been a good week, hasn't
it? It's been a busy week in the world of wrestling, and we have got a lot to talk about. Actually, a lot more than I imagined that we would have to talk about. We're going to talk a bit about SmackDown. We're going to talk a bit about Raw, and then we're going to finish off talking a little bit about what's happened in this week in AEW. We'll have some predictions and stuff as well for the upcoming pay-per-view, Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, loads of loads to talk about. Right, we're going to kick it off then with. We're going to start off with talking about SmackDown, and I know we were both really sort of buzzing with the opening of SmackDown. And we don't do like play-by-play matches, but we do talk about the stuff that that is important in wrestling at the minute. And I think this guy is one of the most important characters.
At the
moment.
Hometown hero as well,
Yeah, I'll let you kick it off. I'm just going to say, whoop that trick.
Well, I mean, let me tell you my personal experience. I've had a long day at work. Let me say it road. I had a long day at work evening. I'm a chef, so I get in late from work, and like what a buzz it just gives me. Like Trick Williams coming out early, and he's just like The Rock. He's just electrifying, isn't he? 'Cause I keep comparing him to The Rock, So he's just like, he comes out and the crowd's just like, the pop from the crowd is just amazing. He's there and he's got this little yachty, and I don't know I keep saying I don't know too much about him, but I can tell he's a big deal. Because he's got that charisma about him and that, and you can tell, he's someone. And, he just comes out and like, they're so invested in it, in this character. And he comes out and, the crowd's going mental. And, it's the clothes he wears, it's the look, it's the catchphrases, it's everything. And it's like, he's just a complete character. It's just, I can't say enough good things about him. But it's like, what I also will say about that is what I said last week, Miz playing his part again.
Yeah, 100%. I picked up on that as well. I had that in my notes. I just thought he did exactly what he needed to do to sort of elevate him again. Yeah,
great company, man.
The crowd was super hot for Trick Williams, right? Well, I know it is his hometown, but I'm not sure it would have mattered this week, right? After this journey that he's on, I think it could have been anywhere. I think he could have come out anywhere in the US, and he would have got that same reception from the crowd. He would because he's white hot at the minute. And they're sort of doing the right thing. I think he needs a couple of these matches. It can't all be about straight away someone coming in and wanting to challenge him for the belt.
No,
we said last week, didn't we, about WWE having this problem with people getting their reps in, and I feel like with Trick Williams, this is what they need to do with him. Just keep getting him going up against the right people. Get your reps in, keep him hot, right? He doesn't need to go into straight into a storyline. He can just be like a sort of a fighting champion for a few weeks.
Yeah, exactly. He's an attraction, isn't he? So you don't need to bring the attraction out as a match every week. It can be something, that comes out as a pay-per-view because it makes it more of that special feel, But yeah, no, I can't say enough good things about him. And I think the guy, he's just gonna be such a big star. And I kind of see like an Ultimate Warrior situation coming out where he's gonna carry the United States title all the way to WrestleMania, and maybe then he's gonna go into WrestleMania, maybe win the Rumble, maybe win the Elimination Chamber, I don't know, and then he's gonna challenge. He's going to challenge for the belts, maybe. I mean, that could be a cool scenario, couldn't it?
Maybe
I mean,
like
that's just me
a
spitballing
champion versus
yeah,
champion.
like, you know, the
match.
Ultimate Warrior back in the day with a classic with the two
Yeah,
belts.
he had the Intercontinental belt, didn't he? Hogan was the champ, and yeah. Well, I think at the right time, I don't think that's a bad shout. If you get the timing of something like that right, I think that's probably like the right thing to do. Right, first question for you then. Basically, still on the subject of Trick Williams. So he's done this little thing with the Miz, right? Yeah. We think probably the Sami Zayn feud, I reckon, might be done. Who's next? Who would you, if you was booking it, right? So if you're booking SmackDown for this coming Friday, right? And again, you want Trick Williams out early, right? You want him out early because you want to get your crowd fired up. Like, he comes out, he does his little promo, he drops his lines, right? And by the way, when we're talking about I love the story about the chicken. He bit into like the chicken and it dripped onto his shoes. And then ever since
lemon pepper
steppers. Yeah, she's great. I thought that's great, brilliant. Yeah. I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't care if it's true. It is true. For me, it's true.
Yeah.
But, okay, so he comes out, he does his promo. Whose music's hitting?
I mean, I think he needs, I don't know if it's too big of a test now to go like up against him, but like he needs to sort of like get to that point where he's like, you know, he's a mid, you know, at the minute he's sort of that mid-card status, you know, he's a US champ. But like, you know, if he's going to step up and, you know, eventually be a champion, why not someone like Drew McIntyre? I mean, I could imagine them having a great feud, you know, I can imagine Drew, you know, and like, and it would fit the character because Drew's sort of that, you know, like, you know, he's no nonsense, you know, especially Hill Drew, you know, he's so good at, you know, no nonsense, you know, no fun. I'm here to make money and that, and Tricks, you know, the cool, like, you know, like dripping in jewelry and that, you know, and it's just like, I can imagine them two, like, really playing off each other and that working and sort of having an angle where it's like, you know, like Tricks, you know, the guy that he's trying to shut up Trick Williams, you know, and, but I could
do you think it's a bit early for that?
I think it might be, yeah. I think it might be. Maybe a couple more enhancement people on the ways out. But I'm talking, you know, in the future, I think that could be a great rivalry, yeah.
See, I think, like, I was looking at the roster, and I feel like WWE might need to do a few more changes in terms of like mixing up Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
Because when I looked at that SmackDown roster and I was thinking, right, who is there that sort of ticks that Miz box?
Because sorry for interrupt you, but the Intercontinentals thing, you've got a lot going on because you've got obviously the champion with Penta, and then like this Ethan Page, you know, he's looking like a character, like a good solid Intercontinentals. You got Rusev in the picture, you know, you've had all these people in the picture. Like, it's like, yeah, maybe they do. The US title needs a sort of boost in the arm there, like to have some more mid card.
I think so. Like when I looked through the roster, and I was thinking, right, you need a couple of polished, like some not vets, but you need some polished wrestlers, right, for him to work with. People that are going to make him look good, right?
Yeah.
Most of them are faces, so there needs to be a little bit of turn, right? So these are the ones that I listed down. I went through this and thinking, right, who would fit the bill?
Go on.
So you've got Nakamura.
I mean, I don't know, like the fire of it's just Nakamura. I don't know, like there was so much buzz about him when he come in. Like he had some exciting movesets, but he's just never quite clicked with the American crowd the way he did in New Japan. I think personally that's got something to do with, you know, the language barrier, where it's such a big promo thing in America, you know. But where you take away the promos from him, you know.
Do you think though, as an enhancement match, I'm thinking more like you bring someone like that in like as one of them.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
I mean,
It's like another notch on Trick Williams' belt, right?
Yeah.
But again, at the minute, Nakamura's he's a bit of a face, isn't he? So it's kind of like it doesn't make sense.
No, I mean,
The other one that I noted was Dragunov. But again, I think he's a face at the minute.
Yeah.
So that kind of doesn't make sense. But these are the sort of people that you want to get him in the ring with because they'll make him look good. Carmelo Hayes, maybe there's got to be a heel turn there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many faces. Like,
has he been heel, Carmelo Hayes?
He was a heel before because he was doing that stuff with the Miz, weren't he? And then he sort of turned on the Miz and then turned face.
Is it too soon
he had
to
the
turn
US
him back?
title. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how many times did they turn the Big Show back in the day? You know, it was every other month, wasn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only other one that I noted that I thought, well, but again, he's not really. He's probably a good worker, but he's not really established. But I think they could cut a good promo. Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks. That's something I could say.
Ricky Saints.
Ricky Saints. Yeah.
Yeah. But but I still call him Ricky Starks.
Yeah. It's like Powerhouse Hobbs, which I want to get to later. But
like, you know, if you think when he was in AEW, he's done all the groundwork. So like as an in-ring performer, he is going to be able to have a half decent match. But also, I think he's got that sort of flashiness about him as well.
He needs as well because obviously Trick now is, like we said, he's white hot. And he needs to keep this momentum going, and he can't be losing matches, and he needs to be beating people clean as well. So, you know, it needs to be someone who's like gritty enough, you know, and he's got like, you know, enough character to look good losing, you know, and he's sort of like, that ain't going to hurt his character and ain't afraid. Yeah. Which I think that's why they're turning to the Miz now, because like I said, the Miz, he's such a good company man, you know, he just does all these things. I think they need that person to make him look good for the next couple of matches. Then maybe 2 or 3 months down the line, what pay-per-view you got coming up, then you think in SummerSlam, what a match, like, you know, like a big win if he would beat someone like McIntyre. I think
that's more like
you know, like a SummerSlam main event, you know, US title match, McIntyre against Trick Williams, and you put Trick Williams in a position where McIntyre's coming out and, like, you know, giving him the Claymore kick every week in and week out, and like he's looking like defeated, and he's like, oh, how's he gonna, you know, his back's against the wall. And then it's like, oh, right, he comes out and beats him. You know, that's how you're going to propel him to the next level, in my opinion. So that, yeah.
The only thing with Drew is, and I don't know, maybe Drew sort of had his day now as being championship material. Maybe his role in the company now is going to be to elevate other stars, because I feel like if after what's happened with McIntyre over the last 12 months, he had a fairly big feud with Jacob Fatu, didn't he? But before that, he had the Cody Rhodes thing. So he won the belt, lost the belt. Then
it was quick, wasn't it? It was quick, which I was surprised about.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, like, but then obviously they wanted this Cody Andy storyline, didn't they?
I think I mean, at the time, I think it was probably the right thing to do, because it caught everyone off guard, right? And it showed that WWE can still catch people out. They can still have a surprise up their sleeve. So I think it was good that he did win it. But at the end of the day, he's had his title run. He's lost it. I don't see him being in the world title picture or the WWE title picture again.
It's a shame for him, because he's been such a talent, and he, like, you know, and he come out when he chosen one back in the day with Vince McMahon, and like, he looks like such a wrestler, doesn't he? Like, you know, he looks like a prototype of wrestler.
And his promos are great.
He'll always be known. He's got that tainted as the COVID champion, when he had that WrestleMania win. You know, it was a shame for him. So, because he's a great superstar, but like you said, like, you know, not everyone can be the champ. Not everyone can be the champion. That's why it's great to have these company people around, like the Miz does, and like Drew McIntyre. You know, like Drew McIntyre could be that like role, but in a bigger, you know, really propel people to the next level. You know, for the difference, you know, to get into that world title picture. Yeah. Well, like he done. Look, let's be honest. That's what he done for Jacob Fatu, wasn't it? Like,
yes,
you know,
exactly.
Jacob Fatu beat him at WrestleMania, and now, you know, he's on to big things, which we'll come back to. We definitely need to talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's off.
Just a quick one again, coming back to Ricky Saints, right? So, although I think that could, I think that actually could be a really good 2-month-long feud, but you've got to give Ricky Saints some wins, right? So at the minute, he's had a couple of decent weeks up against good opponents. So he's had a match against Cody, and obviously everyone knew that Cody was going to beat him. But I feel like if you're going to make him a credible heel, you got to give him some wins as well. Get some wins. Like otherwise, it just doesn't work for me. The best feuds are when you've got two guys that are on winning streaks of like 4 or 5 matches, right?
Was there a better heel in the Attitude Era and the Triple H, the way he propelled, the way he propelled the Rock and Austin, Shout out to my boy, Austin 316. But, would the Rock and Stone Cold been as big as they were without Triple H there, propelling them to that next level, like making it so believable? And he's, Triple H, the odd stacks against him. He had D-Generation X behind him. He had the Helmsley McMahon regime behind him. Yeah, like you're saying, that's what they need, isn't it? They need heels more like that, which I think, ideally, in the title picture scene, he needs to, people like Gunther and that needs to be like more of that character, like he could take that role for me.
I'm going to come back a little bit to this comment a little bit later on because it ties in better with what's happening on Raw. But it does feel like, and you said it to me before we started filming, so it feels like all of a sudden WWE have had a bit of a kick up the arse. But it feels like they're trying to sort of do too much too soon. Like for me, they're sort of chasing their tail a little bit. They know what they've got to do, but with all of the people that they've released that could be in these roles where you're just bringing them in to get beat to make someone else look good, it feels like they're struggling. I think they're struggling with the roster, with the quality in the middle of the roster, that those people that have that role of you are there to make somebody else look good. Right, over the years, there's been so many wrestlers that was their role, and and they don't all they don't always come out with these massive storyline careers of being heavily decorated with titles and stuff. But they do have long wrestling careers. It feels like now like WWE have created this thing where everyone needs to be a star.
Yeah.
But then if everyone needs to be a star, you're scared of beating everyone, and then. So they're chasing the tail a little bit.
What is it they used to say?
It's more evident on Raw.
What is it they used to say back in the days? Like they had that measuring stick, like the character sort of like X-Pac was back in the day, wasn't it? Like he was like give him a match against X-Pac and things because he'd be like, you can have a good match against him, and it's propelling superstars. Like like you need characters like that, to make stars, because like coming back to what I said, the Rock, Austin, as big as they were, 2 of the biggest superstars ever to come in the wrestling industry, would they be as big without Triple H there? You know what I mean? I don't think so personally. Yeah. So
I think the type of wrestler that comes to mind is someone like I'll use his WWE name, someone like Cesaro. Someone like him, and he's he's now doing.
Do you know what?
He's doing that role in AEW.
When you asked me that Trick Williams question, I was thinking a split second. I went, I'd be a great opponent for Cesaro, and then I was always like, "Don't be an idiot, Dean. He's at AEW."
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He's in the Death Riders.
Him and Pac, Neville. Yeah. They're the type of guys that you need on your roster that can take the losses, right? And it doesn't harm them, right? It doesn't do them any damage, right? Yeah. Those sort of guys are doing for AEW stars what a lot of the roster can't do for WWE stars. But yeah, I mean, as I say, when we talk about Raw, it's going to be even more evident. That's where we are with the Trick Williams thing. I agree with you in the sense of I think McIntyre would make a really good opponent for a big pay-per-view.
SummerSlam's what you build towards, in my opinion.
Yeah, Survivor Series, Drew will probably be in a War Games match, because he loves being chucked in there.
Yeah.
But so I think a SummerSlam, yes, but I think in between that, I think 2-3 more matches against good quality. And I suppose it doesn't really matter whether they're heel or face. Just get him in with good people that can make him.
He's going to make a good match of anyone, And I think, to be honest with you, he's such a fan favourite at the minute. He's like, he's so popular. I think most people you're going to put in the ring with is going to become the heel character because everyone's rooting for Trick Williams to win, because everyone, you can't help but not love the geezer, can you? He's just, there's something about him. There's something about him,
Oh, no. right? Why this pops into my head. Why we're talking about guys that could have a feud with Trick Williams and trades. What about this? I'm going to pitch this to you.
Go for it. Hit me with it, Steve-O. Come on, hit me with
A
it.
trade from Raw to SmackDown. Dominic Mysterio.
Now, that would be a match. Now, that would definitely... I could see that, yeah. Where'd you come up with this, honestly? Like,
because I just think Dom's lost in... I think he needs to get away from the...
Judgment Day thing, and it's like, you know...
Dom gets traded to SmackDown. That's how you split the Judgment Day.
I mean, I don't want to go too much into the detail about it, but look like Finn Balor's been elevated again now, hasn't he? Now he's come out of the Judgment Day. I think it's time for, you know, Dominic Mysterio to come out. But how do you go about doing that, though? Because, like, obviously, Liv Morgan's red hot as a heel, so, you know, you ain't going to turn on Liv Morgan, is it? You're like, I don't know, like, because you still want Dominic to be a heel, didn't you, for a while, I think. And then, like, yeah, I don't know. How do you go about that?
Okay, so I reckon they go over as a pair because you've got your two best female heels, right? Or probably the only, I've got to say, apart from Rhea Ripley, your only two females that are interesting at the minute is Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Right. And you've got your two best heels on the same show, right? I'm sorry, Jade Cargill. I didn't think she was great when she was in AEW, and she just doesn't interest me. I just not interested. Her character work's not there. This little faction that she's got doesn't do it for me. I think you need to get Liv Morgan on SmackDown, maybe get Rhea Ripley back over to Raw because I think she's probably better on Raw. I think maybe you do some sort of a switch. Dom goes as well.
I could see Trick and Dom. I can see having, like, you know, because Dominic, like, I've not really talked about it much, but he's such a great character, and he's such a shining star. You know, when you asked me a couple of weeks ago, you know, he was another one really. Like, I mentioned my guys, but he was another one really. Such a shining talent, and he's just got this heel thing down. Obviously, like, turning his back on his dad, Rey Mysterio. You know, like, what he's just brilliant work, isn't he? But he's been around the industry since he was a young boy, hasn't he? No.
Well, that's my pitch. So, you know, Trips, if you're listening,
I love it. Maybe we give Bruce Prichard and Triple H a call. I don't know, you know.
Nothing to lose. Okay, sticking with SmackDown then. Really, the only other thing that's really interesting for me on SmackDown at the minute, obviously, Cody and Gunther. So, what are your thoughts on this whole signing the contract delaying the contract thing? Go on.
Can I just skip back and say, like, one thing? I really enjoyed the Royston Keys, which is Powerhouse Hobbs, you know, his name's Royston Keys. I really enjoyed the match he had with Gunther. You know, I really, really enjoyed it. It was like,
he's decent.
You know, it was two big men. It reminded me of like Kane and Undertaker going at each other back in the day or something like that. It was like big men going at each other, and you could tell they were really putting it in, you know, and it was stuff like that. Well, obviously, I know people can go, it's scripted, it's fake, but no, like, you know, you can tell some of the things are real, you know, so it's like, you know, like the chops and like the slams, and it was a brutal match, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, even though Royston Keane's like picked up the loss, I think he still elevated his character a hell of a lot. That you thought, because there was a point, and this is what they say about him wrestling. There was a point where he was like, I generally thought Royston Keane's going to go over it. Like, it would have been a shocker, but I thought he's going to beat him. And it was believable that Gunther looked in trouble at certain points. And, you know, Gunther's the ring general, longest reigning Intercontinental champion in recent memory, you know, former world champion. He's like, you know, so to have this new guy come in and beat him, it's elevated him. It was, I just thought it was a fantastic match. Like, I really, really enjoyed that match. I actually, to be honest with you, like I said, like, it's been down lately, like, SmackDown and Raw, but I really, really enjoyed SmackDown this week. I actually thought from start to finish, it was a solid paper. It was a It was a solid show. It was a solid show. You know, I just really enjoyed it. And like the contract sign, I always love a contract sign. Who don't love the contract signing? You can't be a wrestling fan and not enjoy the contract signing. You know? It's like a classic.
If you get it right, they can be brilliant, can't they?
Yeah. And I mean, we're going to be, but the contract signing on AEW was even better, greater as well, wasn't it? After that, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Sorry, I'll get excited, Steve. I get excited.
No. I knew that we was going to go off track today. Right. Was these little things pop into my head today. As I say, it's late, and I got sometimes we're going to have to keep taking us back.
Caffeine,
but Right, credit to you for last week for coming up with this concept that WWE stars, or a lot of the ones that they're bringing up from NXT, right, and some of the ones that they've tried to elevate over the last few years have not got the reps in, right? Royce Keys has not gone into NXT. It's very rare that they bring someone over from another company and don't shove them in NXT.
Even like great stars who have had so many reps, you know, like Triple H and Vince before him were like, no, we're not having it. You know, like Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, you know, these people that are like,
they
you know, like stars that have been world champions from other places. Drew McIntyre went back on NXT. You know, like Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, you know, like all these people. But it's like the only one that did, they was, I remember, it was AJ Styles. They let him come straight in. And
Again, on a different level. Yeah. But that goes to show you that the amount of matches that Powerhouse Hobbs had in AEW over the last 12 months, you know, being part of the ops and being part of this whole feud with the Death Riders and stuff, building into All in Texas. Again, he's match fit. Right, to talk about it in football terms, they've signed a player that's match fit, and you can shove him straight in, and he knows what he's doing, and he looks good, and he looks the part, and actually he can cut a promo. He's half decent. He's believable as well because he's got that he's got that same kind of background, that same kind of fire about him that Jacob Fatu's got. Because again, he grew up that gang style life. He's been shot God knows how many times. He has got that reality about him. Is believable.
It was great. I think he's going to be a star. And do you know who when I was watching him, he really put me in mind of? Mark Henry. Back in the day, with the world's strongest man, you know. Yeah, you know, he's this big, imposing guy. You know, he's like that naturally gifted, strong geezer.
I think he moves better than Mark.
Yeah, he moves better than Mark, but maybe like a modern day Mark Henry, especially like obviously not sexual chocolate Mark Henry. You know what I mean? We're like getting made young, pregnant, and like giving birth to a hand and all that crazy shit. I'm talking when, you know, he finally got into his own Mark Henry, you know, and he was like the Hall of Pain, and he was like world champion. Now I'm talking that Mark Henry, you know, that's what I'm talking about.
Somebody's gonna get their ass kicked.
Somebody, tune. But that, you know, it's just, you know, that was great. The Hall of Pain, like that was great. Then again, sexual chocolate was good, wasn't it? Yeah, sexual chocolate was great, wasn't it? But yeah, and the Nation of Domination.
We have these little throwbacks.
Yeah, love it. It's all about the throwbacks, isn't it?
Right. Okay. So let's talk about the story then with the Gunther and Cody at the minute. So, what do you think about the whole idea of Gunther's delaying the signing of his contract? Obviously, Royce Keys decided, which I quite liked actually, just decided
that he's
going to come down and go, right, well, if you're not going to sign it, I'm going to sign it, which makes Gunther kind of then do something and get in the ring. I did think, I don't know, there was part of me that thought, wow, this is like a number one contenders match now then. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, like, you have to almost win a Royal Rumble to get a title shot, but Royce Keys just comes in, marches his way down.
You say that, it's like, you know,
just good on him.
You know, you say that, it's like anything. If you want to, you know, if you want a promotion in work, you be around the bush, you walk into your boss's office and say, oh, you listen here, I want a promotion. You know, I've been here, I want it. You know, maybe he's going to stand up and take notice, and that's what Royce Keys has done. You know, so it's just like that's what he was going for. You know, it's quote Del Boy, he who dares wins, you know?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the setup for the feud for him is with Solo Sikoa, which could be interesting. We'll see how that goes. But I think, once I got over that fact, I was thinking, hang on a minute, he's been rewarded here literally with a number one contenders match. But I thought, well, no, maybe it's needed.
No, yeah, I didn't know it at all.
So now we have Gunther versus Cody.
We clash in Italy. I mean, that's cool as well. It's in Italy. I mean, we can, watch it in our normal time. I always like that.
Gunther that crowd will probably be split.
I think it's going to be a lot Gunther, especially because, you know, he's European as well. You know, he's Austrian, isn't he? And it's like Italy. You know, like Italy and Austria isn't too far away from each other. He's probably going to be some Austrian fans at the pay-per-view. You know, man, imagine, you know, like Gunther's your guy and you're a big fan and you're going to go and see him, aren't you? You're going to go and see your local guy, you know. You're going to be, I'm going to go, you know, make the trip. So maybe Austrian fans are going to book tickets. I mean, why not? You would, wouldn't you? I mean,
well, it's not that far away.
Yeah.
I see this as only going one way. I think it has to go this way. I think WWE are in this position with a lot of these feuds at the minute where they can only go one way, otherwise they don't mean anything. If Cody retains against Gunther, and that's another loss for Gunther in a sort of, as soon as he gets to the top end, right, of the pyramid, as soon as he gets in and around the world title scene, it seems to be at the minute that he either has a really short, meaningless reign or he gets beat, right? He has retired Goldberg. He's retired John Cena.
Yeah.
He has retired AJ Styles.
I think as well they was planning, that's what the Chris Jericho was. That it was going to be Chris Jericho.
I think it was going to be.
That's why I think Y2J didn't want it.
I said that last.
My man, you stay strong, Y2J. You know what I mean? You ain't done yet.
I think Jericho was having none of that. He's got the win at WrestleMania against Seth. If he loses to Cody and Cody retains, where the fuck does that leave Gunther? Like, where does that leave him?
No, it's getting to the point, and this is what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm saying about, he's got that potential to be like that big heel, that big monster heel, like Triple H was for years, elevating your Stone Colds, your Rocks, even your Undertakers, like this, like, these faces, and it's like they need someone like that. And I think Gunther is that, but you can't keep beating him all the time. He needs to go on that thing. It's like Flair back in the day, he was the heel, but he was champion for ages. So then, like, when Dusty Rhodes would come out and beat him, it'd be like these massive things. It'd be, they're chasing him, and it was like the crowd, wanted their hero to win. But I don't know, if you're just giving the hero the win month in, month out, and it's just cliche, isn't it? And it just feels a bit childish. And I love Cody Rhodes personally. I know a lot of people have got their mixed opinions in. In my opinion, his character has gone a bit stale lately because, for the last 5 years or so, he's been thereabout in the title picture, hasn't he? And he's been champion and been the man. And
I think he's only been back there 4 years, hasn't he? He's been three times champion in 4 years.
That's what I mean. So the whole time he's been back, 4 years or whatever, but he needs to, sort of go away for a bit. I think, Gunther beating him and Gunther having a title run, maybe Cody going away completely for a few months, maybe getting some time off with the family, and maybe then he comes back, and it's like, imagine like SummerSlam, he goes back for the title against Gunther, and maybe people then are going, we want Cody to win again, and like Cody comes back, Gunther's just on this reign of terror, beating everyone in his path, and like, bang, like every week, like, is anyone going to beat this big, heel, this big monster character? And then, Cody comes back like the big hero. That's what people want. That's what we watch wrestling for, isn't it? And like, that's what we need, so maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing at all.
I think when your roster's good, right, and you got to remember we all always compare this to the early 2000s, right, when the roster was just unbelievable. Like you said, when you had Rock, Austin, Triple H, and then beneath them you had Angle, Taker, Benoit, Jericho, Edge, Rey Mysterio.
Not even to mention like people like Eddie Guerrero.
JBL, right? So the roster was immense. Right? You could send people used to have these 6 month sabbaticals, right? I feel like Cody Rhodes needs to have a 6 month sabbatical.
I feel the same.
I think
maybe it's the time because he's obviously got the Street Fighter film coming out soon, and like, maybe, he's got Hollywood knocking on his door. Maybe he goes away and does some TV shows and stuff like that.
I would have Cody drop the belt to Gunther.
I would too. It makes sense.
I would have Cody. Yeah, I mean, and look, don't get me wrong, because TKO will have a shout in this as well. And if they see Cody Rhodes' money,
this is the problem.
They're not going to allow creative to do what they want with him. If it was me booking, right, and I think if it was Vince booking, Cody gets beat in Italy, and then we don't see Cody again till the Royal Rumble. And I don't think even when he comes back in the Royal Rumble, he doesn't win it, but you get that big moment of Cody's back. Then maybe you could have Cody win at the Chamber or something, but maybe he doesn't go chasing Gunther. You leave that for a couple of years. Let that settle, right? Have that come back in a few years' time. Let Cody win the Chamber, and then he'll go after the other belt. I think Gunther needs to have an 18-month reign.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and I like you go on that reign, just a reign of terror. Do you know what is a shame? What could have been a good storyline, but I think they just dropped the ball with it so much. They dropped the ball so much with this Cody and Randy match at Mania, didn't they? Because imagine then, like, you know, Gunther goes on and, like, you know, maybe not as long as 18 months, like you said, maybe he keeps the title to the Royal Rumble. And then Cody comes back out and beats Gunther at the Rumble. Then you've got a red hot face Cody Rhodes again, not like a sort of stale Cody Rhodes that we've got at the minute. And then maybe Orton does the big turn on him, you know, maybe Orton wins the Rumble and that would have been better. Like Orton wins the Rumble and has the big turn, you know, and what champion's he going to pick? Is he going to go Raw? You know, is he going to go, what title is he going to pick? Oh, and he's not going to go for Cody. You know, Cody's his friend, he mentored Cody. And then, you know, the RKO, that would have been more of a storyline. Like this shit we got, you know, and it was shit, wasn't it?
It was
with
bad,
Pat McAfee and that. And it was just such a build up. It'd be like, you know, like a 15-year build, wasn't it, really, when you think how long, like with the legacy stuff with him and Randy and DiBiase, they dropped the ball so much of it. It could have been massive, couldn't it?
Definitely. And look, and it's unfortunate as well. It's pretty evident that Randy got injured before that match, right?
Yeah.
So he fought the match with an injury because we haven't seen him since. You know, you finished the match punting Cody Rhodes in the face and giving him shattering his eye, and then, you know, all of a sudden, like it felt like Cody almost was supposed to be off for a few weeks after that, and they ended up bringing him straight back because they couldn't follow. Follow up the storyline.
I think it's like what you go back to is this TKO thing, where I believe that they're like, no, he's at, you know, they don't understand it, like the wrestling, like that's what how the wrestling fans like watching wrestling. And it's like they're looking at it like they're doing like a Netflix like series, whereas I don't know, like who's a big, you know, like you have like Chris Hemsworth in a Netflix series. Well, Chris Hemsworth needs to be on the Netflix series all the time. You know, he needs to be in every scene because he's Chris Hemsworth. He's the star of the show. He's got the most followers on Instagram. He's, you know, the biggest star, which Cody Rhodes is their biggest star. You know, he's got the most followers. He does the chat shows. He needs to be on every week and he needs to do it. That's what they don't understand, that like, you know, time apart is good for him.
And they won't let him have that. They won't let him have that, you know, but then, you know, but they don't see wrestling fans as being us, right? We are, to them, we are a rare breed.
We are, right? To be honest. We are fucking weird.
We are.
Come on, I'm happy about it. You know what I mean? Who wants to be fucking normal? You know what I mean? Like
we're a rare breed to them, but they just, you know, they're after. Look, we've launching this new club thing, whatever it is that they're launching. They're just after the money marks, mate. That's it. They're not interested in appeasing people like us. Hey, it gives us something to talk about, doesn't it? So
it does indeed.
So look, that's where we are with that feud. Other than that, I don't really think there's much going on SmackDown. I think that really dominated it. The rest of it was just filling gaps. The women's division, I'm sorry, but
shocking.
There's nothing going on. Boring. Like, don't get the Paige and Brie Bella thing at all.
Paige is not Paige. You know, it was red hot years ago. She isn't. You know, you can tell she's got ring rust and that. She's just not the star she was. You know, I mean, it was a good nostalgia pop coming out of WrestleMania, wasn't it? Like, I mean, it was good for that. But now after that, it's like, ooh.
Did you care that much?
I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's the age difference between us. I quite enjoy it because Paige was quite big. You know what I mean? I had a few beers though at that point. So probably, you know, if Doink the Clan come out, I would have lost my shit. You know,
that would
have been cool to be fair. Sorry, Doink. You know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
Yeah.
So
Raw.
We're on to Raw, right? Next big talking point. So I'm going to start with this. Jacob Fatu, Roman Reigns, okay? Obviously, since the Raw after WrestleMania, this started.
Yeah.
So it's been going on a few weeks. It was building nice into Backlash. Spoke about it last week. Decent match at Backlash. Couple of times where I actually thought Jacob's got this. You know,
they're making him look strong.
A couple of times I thought, Roman's ended this, and then Jacob kicks out, and I'm like, oh, hang on a minute, he's still there. Good match, good ending. Okay, Roman gets the win. Didn't surprise me. Jacob looked really strong at the end. You know, Jacob standing tall at the end of the match, and then you get this episode of Raw from last week where, you know, they want to fire Jacob Fatu. Roman's like adamant. This is the old Roman, isn't it? No, he's got to acknowledge me. Then you can do what you want with him. But until he acknowledges me, it's kind of like he's mine. And then, of course, you have the big Jacob attack on him where he ends up putting him through the table. And again, so a backlash, Jacob standing tall, looking strong. Monday Night Raw after that, Jacob standing tall, looking strong. Then this Monday. All right? What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, he just looking strong. And not only did he beat Roman, like, look strong as Roman Reigns, he just made short work of the Usos as well, like, and he's like, especially like, with main event Jay, he's massive, wasn't he, like this time last year. And he's literally just made him look like nothing. He threw him around like a ragdoll. And yeah, they're just prepared, like making him look like this beast. And I don't know where they're going with it. I mean, personally, they're going to drop the ball, aren't they? Because like, I think Jacob Fatu needs to win the title. Like, because what we said, because, it propels another character. And I think then Roman goes away and then comes back, trying to get stronger. But are they trying to go the classic route like they did with Hulk Hogan back in the day, where they'd put all the odds against him, and, there's no way he can beat him. This guy's too strong. And, and then, like, he beats all the odds at the big pay-per-view. I don't know, but something's going to happen. But, I'm excited as well. But I'm excited to see what this match is all about. What's it called? The Tribal Combat. Tribal Combat match. I mean, it's exciting, isn't it? It's another gimmick, something different. I'm looking forward to the pay-per-view. I think, there's two solid matches there to look forward to. I'm excited. Whoever they put Trick against is going to be good. So, I'm excited about the pay-per-view.
Well, like the first thing that I picked up on with Jacob coming out first, right, is he got an amazing reaction from the crowd again, right? Now, you'd expect, again, this is classic WWE, the way that he left Roman Reigns on the floor, put through a table the week before, in any other era, he gets massive heat, right? The following week. His music hits, he comes out, and the whole of the stadium should be booing him, right? That's the classic WWE wrestling story because it's a heel move, right? We know Roman's the face, right? What he's done with Roman
is a heel move. It's not that clear cut.
I know it's not. I know it's not,
but it's not.
And so this is where I get a little bit confused at the minute, and I don't. It's not necessarily even in a negative way. I don't know how WWE want me to feel at the end of this at the minute, right? I don't know. Do they want me to be annoyed and upset that Jacob Fatu is looking stronger than Roman Reigns? Sorry, a Backlash and that Raw. Do they want me to feel that Roman Reigns should be getting his revenge? Okay, so we have this episode of Raw. Jacob won't back down. Again, he looks incredible because one-on-one, he looks like he's beating any of them three, right? He's beating either of the Usos, and he looks like one-on-one, he's taking out Roman.
Yeah.
And it's only when the three of them work together.
But then that's not a face move. You're going to keep, right. You're going to say Roman Reigns is the face. That's definitely not a face move.
Exactly. That's not a face move.
Even in any, I know it's changed, because
the numbers game. How many times have we?
That's never a face move in any era,
So I don't know where am I supposed to think? Who am I supposed to be getting behind here? Right? I know I am behind because I've never been a Roman guy anyway, right?
Yeah.
So whether he's a heel or whether he is a face,
makes no difference.
It doesn't make no difference to me. I'm 100% right, Jacob Fatu, because he is one of the only guys that I've seen over the since I've got back into watching WWE. He's one of the only guys I look at, and he comes across as being real. Like, I look at that character and I just think, I can imagine.
Oh man, he's amazing.
I can imagine you being in a gang and causing havoc.
Yeah.
Like he just comes across as like he's intense.
Oh, he's intense. I
love
no bigs, baby.
Yeah. And we said that last week. He makes you see that catchphrase, right?
Yeah.
He shows you that catchphrase. It's not just a catchphrase. He makes you see
the
it.
Samoan werewolf's a very fucking cool name as well, isn't it? You know.
So I am all for Jacob here, and again, this tribal combat. Okay, I didn't watch any of the other two, so I understand that it was Roman against Jay was the first one, Jay Uso.
Yeah, Solo,
and then it was Solo, right? So there's been two. Romans won them both, right? Now I was watching this, and all of a sudden, Dino, it hit me. This story is and should be, and if it's not, this is the biggest fuck up that WWE have made in 20 years. This story is Black Panther.
Oh shit, Stephen. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
The story is Black Panther.
Yeah,
right?
you got the tribal family, you know, the outcast son coming back. Yeah, you know, who's got a right to the throne, but he comes from a poorer background. The Michael B. Jordan character.
Roman Reigns is Black Panther. Jacob Fatu.
Boseman, is it?
Yeah. Jacob Fatu is the captain. But that's Jacob Fatu. The poorer background, the hard upbringing, right? The appetite, the desire.
And here's what we're going back to when you're saying about, you know, who's the face, who's the heel. You know, really, Jacob Fatu, you know, he's the everyman, and he's trying to, you know, Roman's the one that's got the money and the fame. And it's like, you know, people want to see people come out and make a success of themselves, like we're doing now in this podcast. Hopefully you'll all make a big success of us and we can quit our jobs, you know, I'm just saying. I'm just bringing it out there anyway, you know what I mean? But you never know. But anyway, like, you know, maybe, why shouldn't we be rooting for this guy, you know, that's come from nothing and he's going to win and, you know, take all the fame and the glory? You know, fair play to him. You know, he's standing up to be counted. That rather than just having everything bestowed upon him like Roman has, you know. But, so, you know, that's making him the face character and Roman the heel again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the numbers game is making Roman the heel and him the face. Yeah. I love that Black Panther, Steve. That is really something. And I think someone in the WWE writer team has watched Black Panther like at home that night and come in the room and go, shit, it's just hitting. We could do this. It's the necklace and everything, isn't it? The power of the necklace and everything. Yeah.
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if this is Roman's creative control.
Yeah.
Right. And I think with Roman, if he's going to hand anything to anyone, if he's going to put anyone over, right, it's one of the people in the family tree, right? He ain't putting anyone else over. We've seen this. It's not happening. I think Jacob Fatu wins this tribal combat, and there's a new tribal chief, right? And Roman is relegated to this position now that he's never been in before. It's almost,
he's got to be humble every week, and
there is a new ruler of Wakanda, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Wakanda, WWE, whatever, you know. He comes out every week, and you know he's got to acknowledge him, and he looks like and you know what that'd be exciting for is, you know, like you'll keep thinking about him. I know he's got to turn on him, and you're waiting for it to happen. Like when it finally does happen, like do you remember the great thing with like Batista when he finally turned, you know, like that. When he done the turn on Triple H to fight him for the title at WrestleMania 21, like, you know, maybe it's that again. You know, like that's another thing. You're propelling Jacob Fatu now, but maybe, you know, down the line in a year, you know, you're propelling Roman Reigns into a bigger character again, and like giving his new character a new look. You know,
I think it's it's
good for both parties.
And also, I mean, because we love the superhero thing, right? Comic books. Heavily linking to the narratives of
just a couple of massive nerds, to be honest.
They link into the narratives of wrestling quite nicely, right? Yeah. And I think that if you look at the Black Panther story, when he has to fight a challenger from another tribe or someone that challenged him, he has to drop the powers, right? So Roman's superpower is the fact that he is the tribal chief, and the fact that he is the head of this, you know, this family. He's the top guy in this Samoan dynasty. And his superpower is his confidence. He's never not confident, is he? Whenever he's going into any match, even when you look at the Punk thing, there's not one promo with him and Punk where Roman Reigns is not just oozing confidence, basically telling Punk, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to beat you. You ain't beating me. Right? So Jacob Fatu with this, what's his move? This Tongan death grip or something?
You know, and it's weird because
that's taking away his confidence. It's taking away his superpower. It's like his kryptonite.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think the importance of the 3-on-1.
What a nasty looking move as well. That he's going for the jugular. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a nasty.
The fact it took all three of them to stop Jacob Fatu on Raw.
Yeah.
This is a key element.
I'll tell you what as well. I'll tell you what, that was a cool beatdown as well. That looked like
in the ropes.
That looked like something off a film. The guy's like mafia, and he's like, he's gone after he's in the mafia and he's gone for the top guy in the mafia, and they're like, I'll show you, and they've given him a kick in, you know what I mean? That's what it felt like, didn't it? That's what giving that vibe, like on Goodfellas, where like, obviously Joe Pesci's character, he got to a bus station, didn't he? Take him out back, right, bang. Or Casino with the baseball bats, that's what it felt like. It felt like gang warfare. It felt like gang warfare shit when they tied him up in the ropes and the super kicks and everything. It was really cool, but they're definitely going in the look. I've really enjoyed WWE's Raw and SmackDown this week personally, and I'm happy to see it because I just love wrestling. So I'm enjoying AEW, and I am sort of siding towards them a little bit, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I just like good wrestling. It can come from anywhere. So
they've just got to follow these storylines through, mate, and do the right thing with them. So we can see that it's interesting. Cody Gunther, they've got to do the right thing. Jacob, Roman, they've got to do the right thing. The next ones that we talk about are exactly the same. There's so many things that are going on. WWE have put themselves in exactly the same position, right? So the next thing I've got on my list is over Brock. All right.
What a shock that was. I mean, wow. I mean, who thought that? The beast incarnate coming back? I thought he had retired. I honestly, who didn't think he retired? It was such a, it's not just that. They've took, I thought it was another big WrestleMania moment that we're all going to talk about in years. I remember when Brock retired. It was just great, wasn't it? Like, it's just fucking, And he thought, you thought like Ober's, they're going to have this character where Ober's sort of be coming out every week, like doing what Brock done, open challenge. I'm the man now, I'm the man. And you can imagine Brock sitting there now and he's home in Nova Scotia and he lives on that farm. He's probably sitting there watching the TV every week going, this guy's mocking me now. This guy's mocking me. And, he's let it go on for about 3 or 4 weeks and he's come back and said, I'll show him who the daddy is. I'll show him. And he's come back at like that. F5, you know what I mean? Like that. It's going to be great. But it's just made for a great thing now, isn't it? It's just this big thing, isn't it? It's just going to be fantastic,
Well, I hope you're right. And again, I hope they tell this story
it reminds me of,
way.
to quote a film.
Go on.
I mean, he's not really the phase. Rocky 3. So Rocky goes out, gets absolutely decimated by Clubber Lang. You know what I mean? And then he goes back and sort of finds himself, and then they have the rematch. Maybe they go leaning towards that.
I'm glad. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually going to tie in quite nicely to my. I'm going to play devil's advocate. I like to throw things at you, right? To think about. I'm a thinker.
I mean,
right?
when it comes to too much. I don't mean too much with brain busters. You know what I mean? Like...
Right. Okay. Playing devil's advocate here, right? Do you think that the Brock Lesnar retirement at WrestleMania? Do you think that was a work? Or do you think that that they've just done a bit of a U-turn on this some way?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that could have happened, isn't it? I mean, I think it's one of those things. Unless you're like Brock Lesnar or on the the WWE creative team, you're never truly
unless you put it on an episode of Unreal.
But it's like, but it's like I don't know. Was he away, and then maybe really. That the creative team were just scratching their heads because he beat the beast. To be honest, Brock Lesnar's probably the most imposing, dominant. I mean, there's probably no one on this planet I'd rather not have a fight with than Brock Lesnar. You know what I mean? There's no one imagine Brock Lesnar coming after you. You know what I mean? I'd have to move continents or something. Brock Lesnar's Brock Lesnar, isn't he? former UFC champion as well. And he's the one that you know, a few people have dabbled and gone over to the real fight world, you know, like the UFC. He was the world champion. You know what I mean? He was the one that dreamed out. I know Kenny Shamrock and that did back in the day, but he was all Kenny Shamrock was different because Kenny Shamrock was always sort of a cage fighter, and he sort of like he was when Brock Lesnar was an out and out wrestler.
UFC one.
Yeah, but Brock Lesnar was an out and out wrestler that then thought, you know what, I'm going to give this cage fighting, you know, this mixed martial arts world a go. And he come out one time. So, you know, maybe they've thought they've gone in too far with Uber Femi's then gone and not just beat Brock Lesnar, he embarrassed Brock Lesnar. Yeah, so then, like, where do you really go from there? Where do you really go from there? He's already beaten the biggest, most imposing, scary character. The character that I felt to mention was the one they felt that was such an imposing character. The only one that made sense to defeat the Undertaker's streak. You know what I mean? Like that. Like that's how big of a character he is. The guy that broke the streak. You know, like the biggest WrestleMania story ever. And I just, you know, you've then decimated this guy. You know, such this big opposing character. Who's coming out and challenging him then? Who's coming out and you're just going to think, oh, you know, it's going to be believable. We think, oh, well, he's going to give Uber a good match. He's going to give Uber, you know, Uber's in trouble now. Like, there's no one.
No.
I've got
a name of someone that I think that they should have maybe tried to have
in the open challenge thing.
Well, he's not on the roster, but if they made him an offer, possibly. Braun Strowman.
Braun Strowman. Oh, yeah. I don't know though. The Braun Strowman thing just never worked, did it? I mean, he was always there.
Yeah, but if you're looking at a guy of that stature, so you need
he needs to be a big
guy. How many big guys are there?
Yeah, it needs to be someone where you think, oh, this guy can do some damage, you know, like on his day, you know. Yeah, Braun Strowman, yeah.
Right.
I know what you're saying. I do feel you because the big man thing. The only thing is, like, you can compare Braun and Brock because I think they've had matches together. You can compare them like size, and you can compare them, you know, like fine, but like, you know, for like star power, like, you know, Brock Lesnar, you know. Yeah. And I think, you know, I think it's fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit like, it's like these rock and roll bands when you go and see Kiss and it's their farewell tour, and then they do another 10 farewell tours. And you know, you're happy to see.
You get to I've
been to 3 of the shows where the last shows in London and that. And you think, oh, you know, it's great because you think, oh, it's great, I'll get to see Kiss again. But then you're like, well, hang on a minute, I thought they retired, you know, so you feel a little bit hard done by, but at the same time, you're happy, you know what I mean? That's how I feel about Brock Lesnar now. I'm a bit hard done by because I thought, you know, I got a bit emotional, you know, like watching WrestleMania and retire and leaving these boots in me. I thought, oh, you know, Brock is quite an emotional moment. And now, you know, it's like, well, what an emotional moment was it? It was all, you know.
No, but I'm
excited he's back.
I'm going to give you my real opinion on this, right? I do not think that the Brock Lesnar WrestleMania thing was a work. I think WWE will come out and pat themselves on the back and tell everyone it was a work and say, we got them, guys. You know, we fooled them. You know, well done. You know good what? Handshakes, high fives all round. But this is where I am, right? There's a couple of things. Number one, the Brock Lesnar doing the thing to Heyman at WrestleMania. That means this is not a work. Now, if wrestlers start using that in a work,
it gets dangerous.
It does get
real, it's like the boy who cried wolf, isn't it?
So you've got that. That's dodgy ground, right? If you're starting to use that in a work, because if this isn't a work, this is real, and you're using it in a work, that's dodgy ground, right? That's number one. Number two, I think Brock Lesnar is the type of guy that if you give him enough money and you convince him that there is something in it for him.
He said it all along as he's not a wrestling fan, he's in it for the money. And
he's an ass kicker.
He's always been in it for the money, you know what I mean? Like that, so.
I'm not a wrestler, I'm an ass kicker.
Yeah.
Right? So you give him enough money and a good reason to come back, and he comes back, right? Now, coming back to your Rocky III analogy, this is where, for me, it doesn't make sense. It's not that I'm not interested in it, because I agree that, like, what else do you do with Oba? So the night after WrestleMania is white hot. Then a week later, he's maybe not quite white hot, but he's just dropped off a little bit. Then you have a week where he turns up and there is no opponent. No one wants to fight him. And so he just grabs a couple of jobbers, really, chucks them around the place. How do you keep him hot? You only keep him hot by giving him the right type of challenge. Coming back to your Rocky III analogy, what is it that makes Rocky come back to fight Clubber and win back that belt? What's the fuel in Rocky III?
Well, I think it's that, the pride and like the fighter in him, innit? And stuff like that.
And what happens? What happens to poor Mickey?
Oh, Mickey, yeah. Oh, yeah. So
what I'm saying is I can't see what Brock has got at the minute that he didn't have at WrestleMania. So what is it? What's his extra fuel that changes it? Right? The story doesn't make sense for me at the moment.
Saying happens to Paul Heyman. You saying Paul Heyman's going to be Mickey, isn't it? That's what
know, maybe. What changes it, right? What is it that gives Brock Lesnar this something extra that he couldn't summon up at WrestleMania? You can't say that Oba caught him by surprise, because the whole story building up to WrestleMania is that Oba dominated him week after week. Yeah. So Brock knew. It was almost like Brock was scared of Oba by the time they got into Mania. Where is this extra thing coming from that is going to make me now believe that Brock can beat Oba? That's what I don't get. So that's why
but this is what
personally,
what's good storytelling, isn't it?
I think that this is just another social media moment. I think that they've given Brock a bit more money. I think that the retirement was genuine and real. I think TKO have said, we'll give you this if you can come in and give us a few more months, and we'll take it to SummerSlam, which I think was the original plan. I think the original plan was it goes to SummerSlam. It's in Minnesota, which is where Brock's from.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And I think that was always the plan, right? And I think Brock fucked it up because he decided at that point, in that moment, that he was done and that he didn't want to, he wasn't interested in doing this storyline of putting someone over. And now they've turned around and said to him, okay, Brock, this is what's going to happen. Rather than you like retiring in your hometown and getting beat by Oba, maybe we'll let you win. Maybe we'll let you go out on a win, and Oba just has to suffer the consequences.
Maybe as well that sets up a trilogy.
Maybe. I don't know. But is my interest still going to be there by the time that comes around? It was there at WrestleMania.
It was there.
Am I interested?
This week on Raw.
I don't know. Again, I don't know what you get out of it. What does Oba get out of getting beat by Brock?
Yeah. And, they were creating him, Matt, they were creating him to be this, like, the ruler, and he's coming out and they're giving this big promos, he's coming out, and doing the promos, the suits on. I thought, they're going to propel him, but then maybe it just got to the point where they were like, well, what do we do with this big guy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe it got to that.
Personally, the cynic in me, I think it's just TKO and another moment that they can get a massive amount of hits on social media, right? I guarantee next week on Raw, they will do one of those segments where they show fan reactions and they do all that. Yeah. X amount of hits on Twitter, X amount of Instagram shares, blah, 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 blah. This video has been watched this amount of times on Brock's return has been watched this amount of times on YouTube. 100% guarantee that segment is happening on next week's Raw. That's the cynic in me because it doesn't make sense to me, right? I don't see what anyone gets out of it, right? I see what Brock gets out of it, a shitload of money, and he gets to go out on his own terms. I don't see what Oba gets out of it.
No. You know what? When you put it like that, it does make sense. Yeah, especially if you talk about Oba's your guy. You want to propel. He's the one that's going to be there in 10 years' time. Brock might have like a couple of months left in him. This and that. But
if Paul Heyman is Mickey, and Oba takes out Heyman,
that could work.
Then it could work. Brock Lesnar needs something to fuel him.
If this happens,
to fuel him to elevate him to a point where he can beat Oba. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
There's got to be a driver for Brock.
Yeah.
Right? For this to make sense. So again, if they tell us this is the theme of this is going to be the title of this episode, mate. Make the story make sense and we'll lap it up because it's got the ingredients, but just make it make sense. Do not give me another fucking Pat McAfee.
It's almost like the icing on the cake kind of thing. And we've made the cake, you know, he's going to decorate his cake, make it beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
don't let me cut into it and find that it's got dog shit in the middle.
No.
Right?
Oh, shit. Yeah. No.
Because I ain't eating it.
No.
So, yeah, that's where I am. That's where I am with it. That's my personal opinion on it. I get why you were excited, and let's hope.
It's
Rocky,
the nostalgia thing.
Hey, someone in WWE has been watching a lot of movies recently, right? They've watched Black Panther and they've watched Rocky 3.
It sounds like a good week. It sounds like a good weekend to me, to be honest.
So, right. So we're gonna finish. We got to finish off the WWE. Hour, or this is basically going to be a WWE hour, or just over a WWE hour. What was the next big thing? Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins. Okay, so we're still on this merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Go on, you go first.
It feels like to me, you know, like they're just trying, and he's got all the potential in the world, but like I said last week, I just feel he hasn't got the reps in. I feel like he's a great, he's got the look, he's got the talent, he's got the heritage, you know, being like the nephew of like Scott Steiner and the son of Rick Steiner, you know, he's like wrestling dynasty. But it's like, I feel like they're just, you know, Seth, they just need to keep him with someone like Seth who is so accomplished and such a ring technician that they're just trying to propel him, you know, and trying to, you know, get the reps in. But like we was talking about earlier when you said like about would it be too early for Trick with Drew McIntyre? Maybe it's the same thing here. Maybe they should have had some build-ups for him, you know, and they've thrown him into the deep end a bit too. I think maybe they've thrown him into the deep end a bit too quick, you know. Like, I hope I'm wrong because I really like Braun Breaker's characters. I'm really excited. You know, I want it to work, but I just feel like he's the unpolished product. It's like in football, isn't it? Like, you know, you're not going to like, you know, a player comes in from a different league or something, like the Championship, and then you're not going to start him up front, are you, in the Premier League? You're going to give him reps in like youth academies, or, you know, like the FA Cup games, or like, you know, you're going to give him like some games and then get him like, you know, scoring, and then you're going to get him in the main roster. You know, like it's the same sort of thing here, isn't it? Really, that's how I feel.
There's a lot of these stories in WWE at the minute of you're a good kid, but you're not ready yet. Right, yeah. So you've got that kind of happening with
which I think Seth has even gone into on a promo again. Yeah, he's making it reality. Really.
Becky Lynch is telling that same story with Sol Rooker. Oh, you're good, but you're not ready.
Yeah.
Look, Braun Breaker, he's looked really strong, right? At Backlash, they left him looking strong. You know, he got the victory. At the end of this episode of Raw, he's looked strong. He's been undermined by Heyman. You know, you had that little thing where he was kind of like, you know, Seth was kind of goading him, wasn't he? Seth was goading him like, I hope it's Breaker. I want Braun. And Braun's like, yeah, let's do it. You know, he's fearless. He's not the sniveling, hiding heel that you get, like the one that hides behind his faction, that hides behind his henchmen, gets them doing all the dirty work. Braun just wants to fucking go, doesn't he? Just like, it's almost like they're holding him back. He just wants to go. So they are making him look strong. But again, I don't really know. I don't know what WWE want me to feel at the end of this, because Braun is the heel and Seth is the face. Do you want me to feel like Seth Rollins should be getting his revenge on Braun Breaker, right? And if so, what does that do for Braun? What does it do? What does it do for him?
No, honestly, I don't know. That's what I mean. But I just feel, that's how I feel about it. Like, to go back to what I just said, you know, they've thrown him in at the deep end, and it's like, he should have got some more reps in first and like built his character more. Like maybe it was a shame. Maybe that was the plan because when Seth got injured, and and he was like the leader of the Vision. I quite liked the Vision thing, and I was really into it. So it's like maybe then they could have had like him as like the Randy Orton character or Batista character, like in Evolution, and Triple H was the leader, where like Seth would be the leader and he would be the world champion, and you could have had a moment. Like, how cool would it have been? You could have had them like an Evolution character with Heyman behind them, all coming out in the nice suits, and Seth's the world champion, and Braun Breaker's the Intercontinental champion, and Theory and Paul, they're the tag champions, and you could have this real like stable and like come out and all goals, and it's a shame because maybe that's what they were trying to do. Well, before he got injured, he sort of forced their hand, but I think he needed that, and he needed that sort of like year or two under Seth Rollins' wing, like a mentor, and what a great mentor to have. And be under his wing and just like we was talking about earlier. And then when it is like the big turn, maybe then like, where he could have been under Seth Rollins' wing in the Intercontinental Champion of the Year. And he was happy being in the Intercontinental Champion because he was part of this big group. And it was like Evolution was back in the day. It was just the coolest thing ever, like, weren't they? Like, and he's like, then like, he eventually, like Batista, the big, the thumbs down. Braun starts getting a bit ahead of his station eventually in a year or two, and he's like, "No, I'm the champ. You need to stand in line." And he has the big turn. That could have been a
They were
massive
definitely telling that. They were definitely telling that storyline because there was moments, weren't there, where Braun was kind of like almost, he was kind of almost pushing to kind of be like the main guy. I just think sometimes you just have to pivot and leave it. Like it's almost like it's made the story pointless by continuing to try and finish it. You might have had it written down. And yes, shit happens. Seth got injured. Braun then, ended up with a hernia and had to have an op. Perhaps they should have just gone ahead and chucked the match together at short notice of WrestleMania, right? Because Braun was clearly available to come out and work because he was involved. He was involved in the match, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So I don't know. I just think you need to pivot, leave it alone. Again, this story only makes sense if Seth now gets his revenge and ends up being victorious, right? There is no point in having another match with the same outcome, with Braun Breaker beating him again.
Yeah.
Right? But if you tell the story in a way that it makes sense and Seth gets the win, what the fuck does it do for Braun Breaker? It just doesn't make this. Just kill the story.
It does nothing.
He's beat Seth. Seth, fuck off. Go and have a feud with someone else, right?
I feel you. It's like, I feel you. It's just like, why do they keep going back to the same thing?
Keep going around this, and do you know what? And they will have Seth beat him. They're 100% going to go down this route where Seth beats him. They'll drag it out, right? They're going to drag it out with a bit of, they're involving, who's the tag team they're involving? The Street Profits. Again, they've got them involved just so that Austin Theory and Logan Paul have got someone to kind of feud with, but it doesn't make any sense. Seth Rollins hasn't got any history with the Street Profits, has he?
No.
So it doesn't like... And he has got a bit of history with LA Knight.
They're trying to make it.
Don't know what they're doing with that.
They're trying to make it like he has, because like Montez Ford was saying, I've been stung before by it. And I was trying to think back and thinking like, I don't think you have, mate. You know what I mean? I think it's just, I don't really get that.
Literally end the feud, right? Again, Braun Breaker, I don't know who he goes after at this point, because you can't chuck him in with Roman and Jacob. So this is sort of like this takes me back to what I was saying earlier about SmackDown. SmackDown for me has got a lack of credible heels, and Raw has got a lack of credible faces. Because let's say if they did just end this feud at Backlash, if they just said, right, that's it, Braun's beaten Seth, that's dead in the water, right? Who does Braun now face? Who is there on their roster? Right? I know you could have had him against. You could have had him against a Kofi Kingston or someone like that. But guess what? They fucking released those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great company guy, and Kofi Kingston
Who
could have had a good match against anyone.
who does
Yeah.
who does Bron go up
No,
against?
you're right.
Think about the roster now, right? Are you going to get him back in the mix with the Intercontinental title with Penta? Probably not, because that feels like a step back. So it's that in between.
It's like purgatory, isn't it?
Yeah,
Where's he going?
it's the in between the Intercontinental and the World title. That's where WWE are suffering on both fronts at the minute. It's the in between the US and the WWE title on one show, and it's the in between the Continental and the World title on the other show. It's your backup top stars.
Yeah.
How do you keep them relevant?
I honestly don't have the answers for that, because I feel exactly the same. Like, you just hit the nail on the head there. I mean, like, yeah, where does he go? Because he's not good enough to be world champion at the minute. And then being Intercontinental champion or being in that bracket is a step down. So, where does he go from here? Like that? That is the question.
I think you, again, if I was booking it, I would be doing the same with Bron Breakker that I want to do with Trick Williams. I'm not going to get him involved in a feud, right? In a storyline feud. I'm going to get him involved in 5 matches against some guys that he can have good quality matches, good quality TV matches that people are going to go, fucking hell, did you watch that match? That was good, right? And give him 5 straight wins. Bang, 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 bang. First guy that I'm having him up against, Finn Balor.
Oh, I like that. And Finn, Finn is it. Let's jump ahead now as well. Talk about Raw. Absolutely love that street fight. I absolutely love that street fight with JD and Madonna, which he's growing on me now. But like, I love Finn Balor. Like, I just think like one of my favorite quite recent memories of wrestling. The Finn Balor when he come up from NXT, and like I've watched him a bit in NXT, and he's shocked in there because he got in that title picture and he beat Seth Rollins in his first chance at the title. And, as he come out as the demon and like the demon character, how cool is the demon character? I fucking love it. It's like,
they've got to
at
keep that
WrestleMania,
special, though.
at WrestleMania when he come out, I said, yeah, I know, but it's just Finn Balor's such a believable like character, and he's great, and he's such a great worker. And he's like, they haven't done enough of him, to say the least, have they? In years, he's been left on the shelf, hasn't he?
Yeah. But I don't think that Finn needs to. I don't think Finn Balor needs to win matches to be relevant. Again, you use him as that guy. He is like a gatekeeper, right? He's in his mid-40s now, so he ain't going on no world title runs. You use him as a way of elevating your talent. Give him some wins, make him relevant. Still get him having some half decent matches and get him a win every now and then. Don't turn him into a jobber, but just use him as someone that can just have a really good match. Guys like Bron Breakker need to be in the ring with guys that like we saw on Backlash with Seth. Seth was calling the match. Right? Seth was calling the match. Seth was carrying the match. Seth made the match what it was. Finn Balor could do that. I've got I'm going to take you on a little trip down memory lane. Right? You mentioned this, I think, a little bit last week in one of the podcasts that we did. Do you remember the feud that you was talking about with Jericho and Kane?
Yes, I do indeed.
I don't know whether this was part of the same feud, but do you remember they had a last man standing match?
That's what I said about last week, the Armageddon. Armageddon 2000. I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you remember how that feud started?
Yes.
Because I can.
Okay, a cup of coffee.
A cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't need any big, massive build-up.
Yeah.
Just simply, Jericho accidentally spilled coffee on him and it burnt him. And because he's got, right, a backstory, which we probably didn't even really know at that point about getting burnt, it set him off, right? You can just have a simple storyline with Finn Balor and Bron Breakker crossing paths backstage somehow. One gets in the other one's way, and you just turn it into a match. You don't have to drag it out for 2 months. Just let them have a match.
I mean, it goes back to realistic, because it's like, people that have a fight in a pub or something, you know, like walk in, you know, that people walk in someone, you spill a pint or like coffee over them. You know, people go, hey, well, you know, people like a fight. They go, hey, what's that? You know, the next thing, you know, there's a fight going on. That's where it makes the realism of it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so that it does make sense what you're saying there, 100%.
Yeah, just get back again, just like, you know,
Get back to the basics, really.
Back to basics.
And stop overthinking everything.
It could be a throwaway comment like he calls him an old man or something like that, right? And Finn's got this thing where he thinks, he'll call him an old man, but you know, I can still go. Simple little story, have a great match. Braun Breaker gets the win, move on to the next one, right? Just line guys like that up for him. Again, like we mentioned a few of these earlier as well. Again, maybe there needs to be a couple of trades. Again, someone like a Nakamura. He could just have a backstage segment. He gets in Braun Breaker's way, right? Because he's a hothead, I'll see you in the ring tonight, right? They have a good match. It goes back and forth. Ultimately, Braun Breaker wins the match. Just let him plow his way through some guys, some vets, some seasoned vets, one after the other. Not a career-ending thing. Just bang, just matches. Every week, 5 weeks. Get his profile up there, right? Then build him up to something big, like we said, for SummerSlam. Then you get him involved in he's probably had, I think he's had feuds with LA Knight and stuff like that. But do you know what I mean? You get him, maybe, I don't know, who else is there? Who else is there that's knocking around that's kind of almost...
On the Raw roster?
Yes, or on any roster, because you, like I say, you might have to move some people around. But
Rusev maybe? Or?
Yeah, maybe. If
Rusev would be a good character, maybe.
Rusev's or I'll tell you who, because they're gonna end this the luchador thing, the Americano, the Grande Americano thing. They're gonna end that, aren't they? They're doing
they're doing the match,
thing, right?
and they're doing the match this weekend, and it was like.
So what about Chad Gable?
Yeah, Chad Gable, that'd be great.
That'd be a good match.
He's underrated, Chad
and he's
Gable,
annoying, isn't he? Chad Gable's annoying. So that would be an easy 1-episode story. He bumps into Chad Gable and he's fucking annoying, and Braun Breaker's got the because that's the way that he is, and he just he takes his shit out. Maybe underestimates him a little bit. Again, this is simple, just and give him another win. That's exactly what I would do with him. The Seth Rollins thing, fuck it off. It just don't make no sense.
That does make sense.
And I like Seth. I think this is bad on Seth.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. He's the architect. Hey, the revolutionary, visionary.
But
you know,
fucking hell, man, he's got to get rid of. He's got to get a new entrance.
Yeah.
Do you like that? Is that a bit of you?
I don't know if I like the entrance as much, but I like the Seth Rollins character. Look, he's gone for before, because he was going for this mad, outlandish fucking he just wear the leeriest clothes possible, wouldn't he? But now it's like he's sort of wears the long suit, and he sort of looks like Hitman character, doesn't he, or something something off a lot. Or what's that? What's that thing? I can't remember what it's called. It's like the black and white thing, you know, it's like the comic book thing, but it's like the Hitman. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
What, like Sin City?
Sin City, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He's going for that kind of vibe now, isn't he? Where he's like John Wick. He's going for he's right to be like John Wick vibes, you know, like that kind of thing.
I don't know. No, he's too.
Well, no one killed his dog. No. Maybe that could be a storyline.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I wouldn't mind seeing a John Wick type character.
Do you remember the dog? Well, do you remember the Al Snow one with Pepper the dog? where Boss Man killed his dog, cooked it out.
British Bulldogs, you know, they stole Winston, I think his name was.
Matilda.
Oh, Matilda.
Yeah, Matilda.
It was Winston.
Mate, like that. My mum and dad, when they got a bulldog, I made them call them Matilda because of British Bulldog.
I don't know why I got Winston.
Yeah. Matilda. Winston's the fucking dog, the little nodding dog. That's what you're thinking of in the car. Oh, Dad Churchill, wasn't it? Like that.
No, Winston's the book Winnick from Castaway.
Yeah. I don't know where you're
that's
going.
Wilson.
What are you talking about?
It's late.
Get some sleep. Stay on. Jesus Christ.
I've been watching too many films, man. Watching Rocky 3 and Black Panther.
Wrestling, that's what it is. Yeah. Can you watch more wrestling? I don't know. We watch everything. I don't know. We have to start getting in the independence.
Oh, man.
Right.
Okay. Well, look, we've been talking for a long time, but I reckon we've got to squeeze in a bit of AEW.
Of course,
because so we're coming up to Double or Nothing. there's two main things we've got to talk about. One is obviously the Darby Allin MJF thing. We'll finish on that and we'll finish on predictions. But I want to talk about this storyline.
Can I just interrupt you, actually? One thing I will say is what I do, because you're enjoying doing the reps. One thing I noticed this week that I really enjoyed was how Tony Khan sort of like had that 8-man tag match at the start of Dynamite.
Yeah,
it reminded me of what Vince would do, because, you had some great performers in it, and it maybe thought, maybe, people wanted to see them, the Young Bucks, and people wanted to see FTR, but they, they don't see them, so they paid their money. So how are we going to get them out there to the people? And not only that, they've given them a rep, what's what we keep going back to, give them the reps. So it's like he's somehow squeezed them into the show, and it may not have made sense to match, but it was still a great match, but he's give 8 superstars a chance, and the people that might have been big fans of that superstar in that match have come out, and I rate that, because that's what Vince used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
Mate, the amount of times, if you look back in like sort of 2001, in actual fact, I know this because I watched a podcast that had reviewed this recently, and they were talking about it. The go home show before WrestleMania 17, right? Your favorite WrestleMania.
I think it's everyone's, and it's got to be. It's got like. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, how can it not be? Like, I'm sorry.
Some people might never have seen it.
Yeah, well, you're missing out big time.
They're not as old as us.
Yeah.
But that go home show, right, was a tag team match. The Rock and Austin tagging together against Kane and The Undertaker. Right? 4 of your biggest stars just chucked in a tag match. Right? Because they could. And the only storyline really with it was the fact that Rock and Austin were feuding, and that could they coexist for the night as a tag team, right? So that opening match it was on Dynamite, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It, like, the storyline only loosely knitted them together. We know that the Bucks are somehow going to get involved in this trilogy, hopefully, please lead into a TLC match at Wembley, because I so want to watch
we'll be there.
Tony Khan.
Yeah.
Please.
If you're listening, Tony Khan.
If you're listening.
Come on, Tony.
I don't know why he'd be listening, but he might be.
He might be. You never know. Weirder things have happened.
I know. I want this TLC match at Wembley.
Yeah, me too.
Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian are Edge and Christian.
No shit. Well, no. Cope and Cage, sorry.
Yeah,
no,
but I'm linking it back to the original, right? FTR are the Dudleys.
Obviously. Yeah, they're gritty, sort of like tag team.
And the Young Bucks are the Hardys.
Yeah, they're definitely the Hardys, yeah. 100%.
It's perfect. It couldn't be any more perfect.
Mate.
Right? They even do, right? FTR's special move, right? Their finisher is even without the table. It's a 3D, isn't it?
Yeah. Shatter machine, isn't it?
Shatter machine. Right? Yeah. So it's just, again, it's perfect. You couldn't write it. Except you can, and you can do it. So let's do it.
Oh, let's do it. Tony, get it booked. Come on, man. I know you're listening, really. So a massive chair shots podcast.
Like you say, that match was it was a good, fun match. The storyline was only loosely knitted together. It only had to be loosely knitted together, but the match was great. It was full of spots. Everyone just doing moves, and I like the way that they sometimes can link 2 tag teams together and come up with a move that you haven't seen before, and it's just a one-off. It's like 2 finishers somehow, put together, and you get something different. I really enjoy watching those matches, and do you know what? Sometimes in WWE, I've got to say, I do skip through some of those type of matches because they bore me. Oh. But I don't with AEW. I watch them because I love them. They're interesting.
Yeah. No, I do understand what you're saying, but that would be great. That TLC match, that's just a dream match, isn't it? Especially us being, we got our tickets, haven't we? We're going to be there live. That'd be such a cool experience. Yeah,
I can't wait.
I can't wait too.
Right, you ready? Ospreay and the Death Riders.
Ospreay. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it, my man. Ospreay, and he's an Essex boy as well. Like us, and it's just like, yeah, he's just the man. Isn't he? Like Ospreay, and I think him being with the Death Riders, I said, because it's this raw. He's got so much. he's got so much charisma and so much talent. You know, it sort of reminds me of, it's like The Rock. You know, when he come in and he was like, he was Rocky Maivia, and he's this, you know, you could tell he was a talent, and you could tell he was going to be a star, but he was a bit too colourful, and he was a bit too like shoving it down people's throats. You could tell. But I think him being with Moxley and like the Death Riders is going to make him a bit darker and a bit grittier and a bit like more mysterious. And that's the sort of like character, you can like people, but it's gonna take him to the next level, definitely.
How fucking cool do the Death Riders look, by the way, at the minute?
I'll tell you what, like they've really because at first I wasn't that much into the Death Riders, but
no, I was.
Especially
no one was.
Do you know what it was? Obviously, we'll go well back in history now. When William Regal was there, it was the Blackpool Combat Club.
Yes,
because Regal was from Blackpool, England.
Which one
thing on a tangent I've got to say now is how funny was it back in the day with William Regal come out and he was like posh drinking his tea in fine china and like, oh, I'm from England, like posh. He sounded like, he should be living in Buckingham Palace. But if you've ever been to fucking Blackpool, it's the furthest thing like that. You're like, you more see people with like one tooth and like, this, like people on the special brew, So it's like, it was great that, just the Americans just always think like us all English. They always just think, oh, we're this posh like Hugh Grant character, But it's like, yeah. It's great, but yeah, what was I saying? So I went off on a tangent there. Then
I knew he was going to do this.
So the Blackpool Combat Club. So know that. So they had this big thing with the Blackpool Combat. So I feel like the Death Riders at first was a bit rushed and put together because obviously Regal left to go back to WWE, and it was like we can't be called the Blackpool Combat Club anymore. And then obviously Daniel Bryan, it was time to retire, so they had to make a lot of swerves, And I feel like that's why it was rushed and it weren't done properly. But now I think they've got the formula, they've got the formula. It makes it. And you know who John Moxley puts me in mind of? Terry Funk.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's kind of got that sort of thing. I mean, look, the evolution of his character, right, from the Moxley that we saw at Forbidden Door, right, through that period of like the Darby. Do you remember you watched the Moxley Darby Allin match and you thought it went a little bit too far with the fish tank full of water?
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it.
It was like watching like that, where you like. Yeah. It's like it's like when you go past a car crash, isn't it? And you don't want to look, but you got to look at it. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing, isn't it? It's just that part of your brain, isn't it? That it's like serial killer documentaries. You're watching it and you're thinking, this is sick. You know what I mean? Like, this is sick. We're talking about people's lives have been ruined, like people's like family members dying and stuff. But you're interested. You're fucking hell. I want to like see what goes on in his mind. It's like the same kind of thing, isn't it? You're enjoying it, but you think I shouldn't really be enjoying this, you know? So it's the sick bastards, aren't we? Like,
oh no. I just think he's incredible, right? I didn't realise how good he was, John Moxley, in terms of a character and just the way that he can cut a promo, just the way that he sort of just reels this stuff off.
Oh, yeah.
It just looks so real, like it's just him.
You know why it looks real, Steve-O? Because it is fucking real.
Him. Yeah, well,
it is real. There's no way. Like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, I know people, it's this analogy of wrestling being fake and that and everything, but like I say, wrestling, and let me tell you now, wrestling isn't fake. People are fake. I'll always say that. But anyway, it's like, you can't put people through glass and you can't, you can't, like the other day when they pulled away, the ring mats and it's concrete floor. You can't fall on concrete and not hurt you, like from a height and not hurt yourself. It's not humanly possible. I don't care who you are, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's the element, it's scripted and that, and it is, but there's the realism to it. It's the realism to it.
I mean, like he's really captivating, Moxley, at the minute, because I think when he first did the turn on Danielson, when he ended Danielson's career, and he put he won the belt and he put the belt in the case and he sort of done this whole spiel of I'm gonna make everyone better in AEW and all that. I don't think people really sort of bought into it. That Death Riders thing, it did drag on for a long while. But I think what they've done with his character since then It's like only now are we actually understanding what that was all about, right? It's been like 18 months. Only now are we understanding what that was all about. That he genuinely wants to make AEW the best company, right? He's
Well,
definitely got a bit of real, he's got a bit of real beef with WWE.
Well, let's be honest, you know, he was the one, you know, obviously Jericho was the big star to go over to WWE, the biggest star to go to AEW,
shock, wasn't he? He was a shock.
He was a shock, but yeah, Dana Ambrose, he was called at the time, now John Moxley, he was the shock because he was like in the world title picture in WWE. You know, he was like Jericho, you know, he's a legend and he is one of the great, he's my favourite and he's one of the greatest of all time, but he, you know, he'd sort of had his day by then. He sort of, it was like, you know, it was like a retirement tour for him almost, you know, like, where, you know, there's a Dean Ambrose in WWE and now he's John Moxley. He was at his peak, you know, and he was like, you know, there's nowhere else to go but up, you know, and he just come out the Shield and he, you know, he was like, to be fair, like they were even favouring him over Roman Reigns and that over when the Shield broke up and stuff, weren't he? I mean,
I think he was bigger. I think the crowd,
they just loved him, and he was like, you know, he was featured on Raw and SmackDown every week, and
he was over.
He was a shock, and he was the one to say, and that made people, I think, as well, like, you know, stand up and take notice and think, well, maybe if, you know, he shocked the system, didn't he? So, like,
the way that they've put this story together, right? I just fucking absolutely love it.
I do too.
So the fact that Moxley was the one that put him down, the fact that he had to go and get neck surgery, the fact that he's come back and they've told this, like, you know, he
said you could you can break my neck, and he give him the chair.
Yeah.
Like, but what's that going to accomplish you? You know, I could.
So the instant thing, right? That, and again, this is like a movie again, right? The instant thing is that the reaction from Will was the correct one. You want revenge, right? When you're coming back, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to fucking hunt down the guy that basically made you have neck surgery, right? He takes him on, he gets beat, right? Moxley teaches him that you haven't learnt your lesson, Will, right? Back off. Then we're coming on to what you were saying, you know, Moxley just being this.
And let's be honest,
that promo was just superb. The bit where the one that you was talking about where he lays down with the chair.
You know, it was
just like if you want to take your revenge, take your revenge.
It was like saying Martin Scorsese would have wrote, you know what I mean? It was like that sort of Goodfellas casino on it.
He had that sort of thing. Like Moxley is that confident in what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's like,
he's got
go on
this
then.
cult behind him that he knows it's like a biker gang, isn't it? Like it's like even if he gets taken out, you know, he ain't far after the guys are gonna, you know, jump on him, and he's the leader, you know, and he's got all that confidence.
Or ultimately, right, you can take me out, you can get your revenge on me, but that doesn't mean that you have learnt your lesson that I was trying to teach you.
Yeah.
And this is the bit that I love, right? Then we've got those the awesome promos of like the Death Riders training, you know, training down in the basement, and you know, Will's like, "Where's the ring?" Moxie's like, "We don't need a ring, you know, we work from the ground up." You know, they're just grappling on the concrete and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's got like sort of Fight Club kind of vibes about it, you know. And actually, Moxley is a bit of. If I was going to compare him to a movie character, he's a Tyler Durden, mate.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's a Tyler Durden.
We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it.
I was saying the other day, what a film! But look, it's the other thing as well. It's like obviously with it coming up in Wembley, he's going to be the hometown boy. I mean, I'm not saying it might be a bit soon. It'd be cool, you know, like to be the world title picture. But
I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to come back.
He's been there about, but it's like I think last time, what was it? He come up short, wasn't it, against Adam Page, wasn't it? Because they had the Owen Classic.
It was the final.
So he couldn't quite get over the line. He couldn't quite get over the line, could he? So he's like, you know, Adam Page beat him. They had this barn burner match, but it's like that now he's like, well, you know, I couldn't get to the big dance, so you know, maybe I need to like, you know, go away and learn a few new holds, you know. So maybe that's how this is tied in as well, which is ideal because what have we got going on at the minute again? What he just come up short of last year.
The Owen, right?
Exactly.
Hold that thought. We're coming back to it, right?
God, we just think too alike.
I know. Hold that thought. We're coming back to it. This is going to tie in perfectly, Dino, right? So this final promo that he's had with the Death Riders this week, they're up on this rooftop. Again, they're playing patball, right? I don't know. Do you remember playing patball at school, or is it just me? Because I'm this older guy, right?
It was my field.
So it's like, we used to play it because I went to an old Victorian school, right, where there was no grass, it was just concrete, and all it was the walls of the old school that you could use to entertain yourself. So we used to get a tennis ball, and there'd be like a group of 12 of us, and you'd just be like using your hand as like a tennis racket, right? So your hand would have to hit the ball, bounce, hit the wall, and then it was only allowed to bounce once, and then the next person would come in. But you needed stamina for it because you had to keep going, right? So the Death Riders are playing patball, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's a bit of a throwback for me because I played it at school. And they're up on this rooftop, and, you know, Will's doing that where he's strengthening his neck. He's kind of doing that like back arch kind of crab thing. That was like, no, like a bridge. He's doing that sort of bridge and strengthening his neck, while Moxley just gets Wheeler Yuta in several chokeholds and just like tells him how to lock it in. He's like, come on, lock it in, lock it in. And then they kind of get up, and he has this little chat with Will where he talks about when he was in Japan and he was in the Best of the Super Juniors, is it?
Yeah, I think it's late, so yeah.
And he was saying about how, like, oh, you know, it was so many years ago. I remember when I first saw you, you was like a bird, you know, flying like a bird, blah, 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 blah. And then he was kind of saying, look, you know, he was saying something about you need to sort of evolve into like a bird of prey. And he was saying about like not being, not protecting your neck, but kind of, but sort of making a statement. Now, there's a couple of different ways that I looked at this, right? And I thought, well, if you think about a bird of prey, right? A bird of prey tends, especially ones that prey on other birds, right? They attack from the sky, right?
Yeah.
But they finish their prey off on the ground.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where I think this is tied
where he's
in
a high flyer and he's a good at that.
with what you were saying about the submission moves and that. So it's almost like, be the bird still, attack from the air. But what you got to learn is you got to learn how to punish your prey and finish your prey off on the ground, right? Because that's what Mox is all about. So there's a little bit of that. And the other thing, like, while we're talking about movies tonight, we might as well just bring up one of the all-time greats. And I've got to say, this wasn't my idea, right? I read this. This was just a fan that commented on another podcast. And I did ask them if I could use this, and they didn't respond, so I'm going to use it anyway. But I give them a bit of a shout out,
fair.
right? They compared it to Star Wars, right? They compared this to, is this a case of that Will has to, no, but he has to learn. He has to learn a bit of the dark side of the Force in order to become more powerful. So yes, you can learn one element of the Force, but you have to also understand those elements of the dark side. It's a little bit of like Anakin and the
Darth Vader,
yeah, that sort of the teachings of Palpatine. I don't want to go too far off in case you're not Star Wars fans, but yeah, it's another movie reference. And I thought, you know what, I really like that idea. You've got to learn how to get in the dirt.
Nice
to
guys,
make you better.
Nice guys finish last, that's what they say, isn't it? You know? And the thing is with him, like, you know, he is, for me, he's the ultimate, like, good guy. But, you know, like we were talking about earlier, where you could tell, is he a face, is he a heel? He is the ultimate face character. Everything about him, his face, you know, he's like, you know, comes out, he's a big, like, he's always happy, you know, he's got the bright clothes, he's got this. And
he can link with the crowd.
He links, and it's like, you know, you could tell he's that baby face. It reminds me back, to be honest, he sort of reminds me of like a throwback, like, obviously not his moveset, because his moveset is exceptional, you know, and he's like, it's so modern wrestling. It's be honest with you, but it's stuff probably he's doing now that people are like figure out years later, you know. But for his character work, he reminds me of a character in like the 90s, like a sort of like, you know, a larger than life, you know, like big colourful character, to be honest with you know. Before, you know, like the anti-hero got come popular with Stone Cold and stuff like that. He reminds me of that sort of character.
Yeah.
you know.
It's because he's got this switch that we've seen it flip. We've seen him lose his temper, and we know that he's got this. He's got this sort of. He has got this intensity about him. I love Ospreay.
He's great. You can't not like him.
I hope that, coming back to what you were saying, I hope that the story that we're on is that he looks to. He's going to win the AEW World Title.
I mean, coming back to
My question to you is, and we can talk about the Owen Hart brackets as well as part of this. My question to you is, how does he get there, and who does he actually face at Wembley? Right. So if he wins the AEW World Title at Wembley, how does that story go for you? And then I'll give you my version of it.
Well, you know what you just said, because of the Star Wars analogy. I mean, obviously, I want to say MJF, but it's a natural choice. I love MJF, and it'd be a great match. But what if somehow Moxley wins the title before the event, and he has that short reign, and it's like sort of like somehow, I don't know how they're going to get to it, but it's sort of like the master against the apprentice, you know? Like, it's like Obi-Wan. It's like Darth Vader when he kills Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know what I mean? Or something like that, you know? It's like, you get to that point where it's like, well, you know, if you're going to want to beat it, you have to beat the master now, you know? And it's like, you know, you have to remember what I taught you. Like, you know, and it's like.
But is Moxley the Emperor, or is Moxley Obi-Wan?
He's definitely the Emperor, isn't he?
You think?
Are you saying he's Obi-Wan?
I think Moxley might be more of an Obi-Wan.
Really? I can't see it. I see him more as the Emperor, though.
Okay.
Explain.
Right, I'm gonna. I'm teasing you with that, and I'm gonna explain it in a minute, right? So, would you agree though that Ospreay wins the Owen?
Yeah.
So we're looking at those brackets, right?
Yeah.
And look, I think the Owen's going to be really good. I love the way that they've set this up. So we've got
Bandito is
Swerve and Bandit is going to be really good. You've got on the other side of the bracket, then we've got Ospreay against Samoa Joe. That's going to be a great match.
I like the promo as well, where Samoa Joe said, "I'm honoured that you'd call me a dream match, but I'm going to be your nightmare," like that. I thought that.
Yeah, that was a good line. It was a good line.
That was.
Delivers it well as well.
Joe, you know, he's a big nasty butt. Yeah, I love Samoa Joe. Yeah,
that's going to be a great match. That's on Double or Nothing. I'm going for an Ospreay win.
Yeah, definitely.
So the other side of the bracket, which is quite interesting, is you've got Mark Davis against Jack Perry. So Davis has just won the national title off of Jack Perry, but also Mark Davis was the guy that got the surprise win against Ospreay because he couldn't continue in that match, you know, when he come back with his neck. So there's also that sort of, well, you know, Ospreay's got to face him again maybe and overcome him this time to show that he's making steps forward. So I feel like that could be the semi-final, Mark Davis and Will Ospreay on that side of the tournament. We said we've got Swerve and Bandito on the other side. And then you've got Claudio against Brody King, which again, I think is going to be an awesome match. I mean, that's just going to be an all-out brawl.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Brody King's work as a life.
Who do you see winning on the other side of the card? What's going to be the other semi-final for you?
I think Swerve beats Bandito.
Yeah?
Personally, I think Swerve, and they're sort of like making Swerve into more of a heel character again, you know, especially the way he's like, you know, with the promos and that. And I think Swerve's a great heel, to be honest. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think he's a great heel, and like, you know, no, I think Swerve wins. Obviously, I think Ospreay wins. Mark Davis definitely beats Jungle Jack Perry from that.
Yeah.
Jungle Jack Perry. Sorry.
Yeah, he is Jungle Jack.
Yeah, Jungle Jack Perry, yeah. You know, he beats him, definitely. And then maybe in the semi-finals, there is that big match, you know, where it's the Mark Davis against Ospreay, like you said, and he needs to overcome him. So that's a big overcoming moment again. Yeah.
See, do you find normally with these tournaments, right, you look at them and they tend to be, like when WWE does them, they tend to be quite predictable, I find. You just go, like the one that they did with Cena, right? It was always going to be Gunther, when it was just like, no one else really kind of got to look him. I quite like what they've done here because I'm with you. I think Swerve should beat Bandido, and then I think Swerve should win the semi-final and meet Ospreay in the final.
Right, match.
From memory, they've only had one match before.
And they sort of had that character as well.
Well, Swerve was the champ.
Well, do you know what route they could go down as well? Where it's like, Swerve had this sort of mentor character, didn't he? That he's been a bit of a mentor. So he'd be like, well, what are you doing with that? What are you doing with John Moxley? I thought you wanted to take him out with me.
Yeah.
I thought you wanted to take him out with me. Like, why are you turning to the dark side? Like, let's go back to the stars, Daddy.
Yeah.
And, then they have a big match and it's hurt. And he's like, really, like, now he's like, you were my friend. Now this is personal, That could be a great story. That could be a great match.
I think Swerve's got, I'm pretty sure it's only one match and Swerve holds the victory over him. The Swerve's beat him before. He's 1-0. So that kind of makes sense that if you evened that up and Ospreay got a win against him and they become 1-1, and then you've got another match later on down the line, even in 2 years' time, you could come back to that and go, look, we're 1-1. So that's really interesting. But the other thing that's interesting, and I can't help but just think, why is Claudio in there?
Great worker again, isn't he? Like we said, goes back to earlier.
Claudio beat Brody. Maybe Bandido somehow gets a win against Swerve. Maybe a bit of a fluke win, a flash pinfall type win. That can carry on. Like Swerve can then come back and carry on that feud.
Well, I know what you're going to say here. So then you're going to have Ospreay against Claudio. It's like he's right man
as the final. So this is the test. Yeah. You're up against fucking Claudio,
my top guy. Yeah,
my top guy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because he could go either way from it.
It's like Ric Flair. You say to beat a man, you got to beat the man, baby. Woo!
And if there's a guy that Moxley's picking as like the tough guy out of that group, it's Claudio, right? So I like what they've done because it will keep me guessing. I can make a case for both ways. I think Ospreay wins it, right? We're both in agreement. Ospreay wins it. How he wins it and who he meets in the final is going to be really interesting. Who does he face at Wembley, right? Now, you said to me to explain why I think Moxley is Obi-Wan.
I can tell by that look on your face. You've already been thinking about this all week. I can tell. I know that look.
Right, I've kept this from. In fact, I've kept this from everyone. Right, I've kept this to myself.
All right, we've had about 4 phone calls in a week as well. You haven't, spilled the beans on this. Go on.
Do you know who I think he ends up facing at Wembley? I think he faces Kenny Omega. Omega goes in as a champion. They had that little thing in the
fantastic match
in the medical room, wasn't it? After Ospreay lost to Moxley, Kenny Omega lost to MJF at Dynasty. They had that little promo where they were both sitting there on the bench, both defeated guys, and Kenny Omega questioning whether, I don't know whether I can do it anymore. Is this the end of me? Am I done? And Ospreay kind of, it was the thing where he said, "You're my hero," and I think you can, you've got one more run in you, basically. And then Kenny kind of just left to think about it. We haven't seen Kenny since. That's it. That's the last we've seen of him. Now, he is going to be at Double or Nothing because he's going to be part of this stadium stampede thing.
I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Yeah, don't take me off.
Sorry, Go.
That's too much.
Right.
It's too much.
It's too excited, so
I think Kenny Omega wins that belt off of either MJF or Darby.
Yeah.
And he goes in to Wembley as the champion. And Ospreay's biggest test is you've got to put your hero down. This is John Moxley 101.
Yeah.
I'm going to teach you how to put your hero
that groundwork
down.
The praise got him, going for the kill afterwards like that. Yeah.
You're going to be fighting the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. You're going to be fighting the cleaner.
Hero, whose career, you know, Will Ospreay's had a similar career, you know, with the independents and the big like Japan and that and everything. You know, he's probably emulated a lot of it, you know, like, and he wrestles a lot like Kenny Omega, doesn't he? You could tell he's definitely influenced by him.
I think and look, I mean, you know, I'm fantasy booking, right?
I mean, I like it. I do like it.
The reason why a lot of people think that it will be MJF versus Ospreay at Wembley, right? The reason why I don't think that's going to happen is, do you think it's a good idea to repeat the last match?
I was going to say that was last year, wasn't it?
MJF went, it was a different belt.
Not
right?
last year, the year before.
Yeah, the year before.
Wembley, yeah.
MJF went in as champion, right? As it was the international championship at the time, and I think he changed it to the US championship or something like that.
Yeah, he come out
the American championship, didn't he?
Big hill Uncle Sam and he with a hat and everything. Yeah.
Are you going to tell the same story? MJF goes in as champion, and we've already seen Will Ospreay get a victory over MJF for a belt at Wembley. Do you think that puts bums in seats?
No.
I'll fucking tell you that Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the AEW World
makes you want to buy a ticket. I mean, I've already got mine, but that makes you want to buy a ticket. Yeah,
bums in seats, right? For me, that's the biggest match you can have in terms of trying to get these two guys. It's like I can only link it to say like the boxing world, right? Sometimes I wish that in boxing they would just do the fights, right? For example, there was a time when everyone wanted to see Anthony Joshua versus Fury, right?
Yeah.
And they missed the boat because they couldn't get the deal done, right? And even if that happens now, I don't really care because
I'll still watch it, but it's not like it would have been.
I personally won't bother because it's 6 years too late, right?
Yeah.
Because I think they're both washed up.
Sort of like Pacquiao and Mayweather.
You've got to get these matches done at the right time. While it's at Wembley, while Omega can still do what he can do.
I mean,
while to elevate Ospreay to this guy that you want him to be in AEW, you want him to be the top guy. What better way than to get that match on a Wembley?
No, like it's just like, I mean, what a big figure it'd be. You could just see it now, can't you? Him holding the title, Wembley Stadium. You know, he's an Essex boy. You know, like it takes 40 minutes on a train to get from Essex to London. You know,
raining
like that, and it's like, so he's even closer to London. You know, he's like the outskirts of London. It's like, you know, he's just lifting the title with the confetti coming down, his music, probably all his family and friends in the crowd. You know, it just writes itself, doesn't it? Really.
That's my pitch.
I love it. Tony Khan, I know you're listening again. I'm going to say it again. All right? Listen to us, all right? We know a thing or two. You know?
We know a thing or two.
Yeah, no.
Right. We're going to wrap it up with our last little bit, which is a bit of prediction. Darby Allin versus MJF at Double or Nothing. Title versus hair.
Which I fucking love. You know, it's going to be great. Isn't it? I love it. I just love it. What a storyline. You know,
the build's been great. Darby Allin's run's been great. He's got one more match before Double or Nothing, by the way. On Wednesday,
Speedball.
He's fighting Speedball. Yeah. What a run this has been. I don't care the fact that it's been maybe 6 weeks because it's just been unbelievable.
And we were talking about off air, weren't we? We were saying about how having these title matches on Collision has made you want to watch Collision.
Yeah.
And it's elevated Collision, definitely, hasn't it? To like the show. You know, well, to be honest,
shout out to Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, Sammy Guevara is a great match. And we were saying, weren't we, off air? We were saying what happened to Sammy Guevara? Because he was Chris Jericho. He sort of took him under his wing, and we thought he was going to be there, like big like champion, and that was something happened. Whatever happened, but it's funny. We was talking. Oh, what's happened to Sammy Guevara? We hadn't seen him, and then when we were saying, oh, you got to watch this because it's going to say it's fun. He's going to have a match for the title. I thought it was great. There's one moment as well. What a pro! When I think he missed the suicide dive a little bit, and Sammy Guevara like turned it into the cut, and not only making it look good, but also probably saving saving Darby Allin from an injury. So. Props to that. It's like great ring awareness. Like, but yeah, no, the ladder
through the table.
Oh, yeah, the SWAT
Early on.
You know, it reminded me of, let's go again, WrestleMania 17 when it was Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy, Devon Dudley, wasn't it? When he done the exact same thing. It was like, that was a throwback, wasn't it? And he probably was a throwback, just like, he is about my age, Sammy Guevara, isn't he? So he would have probably been like, watching it as a kid and like, yeah.
Well, but you think that, so he's only 32. He's been around for a bit. He's dropped off of the main
Exactly
scene.
the same
He's
age
been
as
kind
me,
of
yeah.
relegated down to Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah.
But to be able to pull someone like that out the bag to give him a title match, right? And tie it in with a story as well, not just do it for the sake of it, but to tie it in and say, I've got 4 victories over Darby Allin.
And you know what was great as well? He even went on to say, you know what, after I beat you, I'm going to take satisfaction of shaving your head, Max, and that, you know, and it was like, you know, and he was already planning.
Because he don't like Max either.
He was planning ahead, and you thought,
yeah.
And like, you know, obviously I thought in me head, it's going to be Darby Allin MJF, like, in the next weekend, and the weekend, but then I thought, maybe, you know, I could see Sammy Guevara MJF, like, you know what I mean? It made you have a little slight.
He's one of the 4 pillars, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's one of the 4 pillars, and none of them really get on. So that's kind of like a bit of an ongoing story that they can just tap into whenever they want, is that Sammy Guevara hates MJF and he hates Jack Perry. Jack Perry hates MJF. MJF hates everyone. You can just tap into that whenever you want. But also, like I said, I actually forgot that he had so many victories over Darby Allin when they were doing the TNT title run with Sammy Guevara. Yeah, if you've beaten the champion 4 times to 0, right? Fuck yeah, you deserve a shot.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, it makes sense. There's all these, maybe it's these people as well. It's like, he's sort of going with the storyline where, because he was such an underdog and he won the title, maybe it's people thinking, well, if he can do it, I can do it, you know? And it's like, I watched a documentary the other day, like, about the Jamie Vardy thing. It's like when Leicester won the Premier League. And it's like, you know, then it's made other teams think, you know, maybe they made other teams like around the Premier League go, you know, let's buy some players, let's do this, because that could be us one day, you know. And it's like, maybe it's the same thing, isn't it? Really, you know, and that's where these matches are going from. People that never really had title matches before, they're all coming out of the woodwork, you know, and having these matches. It loops in, doesn't it? It makes sense.
And it's what WWE should be doing. Coming back to what we were saying earlier, right? Just
every dog has his day,
and that didn't have a long build. It was a story. It was a 1-episode story. That was it. It was a 1-match story. It didn't need a long build up, and it was a brilliant match. Right, we got to wrap it up with a prediction, mate. What are you going for? I'm a little bit torn. Like I said to you last week, what are you thinking? Is it MJF wins the belt back in his hometown, or literally down the road from Long Island? Or is it Max losing his hair?
I think MJF wins, because I think it does more for the characters, because, you know, it does more for MJ. I can't see him losing his hair. And it's not only that, it does more for Max's character, because Darby loses. Look, he's like, fuck me, he's had like so many title defenses in the last month. You know, obviously the guy's not 100%, you know, so, you know, he can lose as well and still look strong, you know, and he's still like, he's got this build, but like, it just makes more sense as well, because like you said, if it builds to saying, I could see like someone like Kenny Omega like winning, like you said, or would make more sense for me fighting MJF, you know, and things like that. It just, I don't know. For me, yeah, it's MJ. I mean, yeah, I'm a bit torn, and I think it is exciting because it could go either way. But yeah, if you had to put a gun to my head, I'm saying MJF. That's what I'm going with.
I'm going balls out, mate. I'm going against the grain. I think MJF's losing his hair.
My God, I can't.
I really do. I think Darby Allin gets this win. It makes more sense for me. Well, I don't know. There was a little thing with Darby and Omega where there was a bit of mutual respect and a bit of, right, whoever beats MJF, like, the other one's going to get a shot on an opportunity. You know, Darby was kind of like, well, I hope it's you because I want to fight you, Kenny, down the line. And I wonder whether Kenny's going to kind of bring that back on him and go, okay, Darby, remember you said that you wanted to fight me? Well, it's you that's got the belt, but now it's me challenging you. And maybe Kenny's the one that Just Darby maybe has one too many matches, and then Kenny Omega gets, the best bout machine turns up fresh after a break and he beats him, right? But I can also see MJF winning the belt in New York. Again, Darby Allin's had one too many matches, like one after the other, twice a week. He's been defending the world title twice a week for 3 weeks. That's got to take its toll, right? MJF takes advantage of it, but then maybe MJF and Kenny have a rematch. And MJF does that thing he tends to do, that once he's beaten someone once, he underestimates them the next time he faces them. Right? It's that you can imagine MJF coming out and going, oh, another match against Kenny Omega. Oh, I've already beat him. It was an easy dub. It was an easy dub.
And maybe he loses,
and then he loses it to Kenny because whenever he underestimates people, that's when MJF gets
like
beat.
Darby Allin.
That's his story. That's his kryptonite.
Yeah, he is, because he's
overconfident.
The vainness and the overconfidence. Yeah.
So I can see it going both ways. I really can see it going both ways. But I just think it'd be fucking brilliant if he got his head shaved.
It would be cool. And he would sell it. He'd sell it so well, wouldn't he?
What sort of a character could he come back like with no hair?
Like that, yeah. I don't know, yeah. He'd definitely come out. He'd have something, wouldn't he, going on? He'd have a mask on or something, wouldn't he? Say, he'd sell it so well, wouldn't he? Like, he'd sell it so well.
I'm going for it. Fuck it, I'm going for it. He's losing his hair.
I mean, I'm excited about it, Steve. I'm excited about it.
What a position to be in, where we actually can't call the match.
I know.
Where we can make a prediction both ways and come up with a rational story to follow on from it. Not just we think he's going to win because he's going to win. But he's going to win because this is the next part of this story. Darby is going to win because this is the next part of his story. What a position that AEW have put themselves in.
Yeah.
For their fan base.
I agree, yeah. It's great.
I think it's great. I can't wait.
Me neither. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
One of us, there can only be one.
Yeah.
One of us is going to be right.
We'll see. I'm sure we'll watch it together around here as well. I may have a few beers.
We definitely will. We definitely will.
Yeah.
Right. Dino, as always, we have been talking a long time. We have covered a lot. I've loved this episode.
Me too. As I said,
I'm buzzing. I've had a lot of coffees. I'm buzzing because my team's won the title tonight. And I'm buzzing for what's coming up this weekend. I really am. So we're going to wrap it up. Again, if you've enjoyed this chat, please subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please leave us a thumbs up. Leave us a like. Please share it if you with your friends if you're liking what we're doing.
Sickos is us.
And look, we want some comments because I want to be able to give some other ideas that if people have got any suggestions for this weekend, or if people have got suggestions they want to put in the comments for predictions for the Owen, or predictions for Wembley, or predictions on any of these WWE feuds that we've spoken about, please put them in the comments. We will mention it. We're not going to charge you to mention an idea that you give us. We just love talking about wrestling, and we'll see you again hopefully next week. All right, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Thanks, guys. It was a pleasure.